Hey, it's Tom Staller at Vintage Race Car, Vintage Road Car. Recently, I was pleased to get an invitation from my friends Lance and Deborah Stander to come over to their shop in Irvine, California for a playdate. Going on a playdate at Hillbank, owners of Superformance and U.S. distributor for Caterham, is not your 3-year-old's playdate. In this edition of VRTV, we are driving the newest American versions of the Caterham 7. This throwback car is a refined version of Colin Chapman's famed 1950s era Lotus 7, a very popular race car in Europe, with several that have raced here in the US. As a matter of fact, my own dad raced a Lotus 7 back in the 1960s at places like Mid-America Raceway, Wilmot, and Blackhawk Farms. He told me the car was awesome through the corners, but in the day underpowered for long straightaways. You might be intrigued with the current state of this crop of 7s. The lightweight tubular chassis, now mixed with a variety of tuned 2.0 and 2.3 Ford Duratec engines, make them far more powerful than they were when Colin Chapman loaded the cars with Lotus 1.5-liter twin-cam power plants. Hillbank, who recently took over the U.S. distribution of the Mark, is excited to have 3 variations of the car, from a 130 horsepower base model that is comfortable on both the daily commute or the track, all the way to a 310 horsepower track-focused monster with a sequential transmission and right-hand drive.
This is our holy grail. This is our 620R. 310 horsepower, 1,200 pounds. It doesn't get any better. 6-speed sequential gearbox. 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. It's an absolutely mind-blowing car. It fits you like a glove. You just feel invincible when you're in it. As I said, I always tell people, you take it around a track, the brake pedal is an ornament. You don't need it. This car will go where you point the nose. It's just an incredible car.
Hillbank has a much longer history than I had originally imagined, going back to the old country in South Africa. Lance Stander explains.
It's been around since 1977. My dad started the business, and he started it on the hill next to the bank, and then he got the name Hillbank. In '98, I decided to come to America, and arrived here in December of '98, and then within a couple of months of being in the US, got to hear about Superformance and the cars that Superformance do, and eventually became a Superformance dealer.
He is very pleased to be representing the cars here in the U.S.
For that day. And if I'm going to go, if we were going to go do a fun day on Ortega Highway, and I know there's a lot of motorcycles there, and if you want to have a lot of fun, it's very tough to beat the Caterham around there, because it'll handle a corner with anything through the canyon. It's ridiculously fast.
The minute you sit down in one of these babies, it is very easy to think race car. The seating position is comfortable but tight. The steering wheel is small and responsive, and the pedals are lined up perfectly for easy heel-toe shifting. The clutch is tricky for the uninitiated. The 1.5 to 2 inches of play will make getting from a typical street car into the Caterham initially surprising, but once the car gets going, it feels marvelous. The cars feature a front independent suspension and a tubular DDon hard rear suspension. Drifting the car through a corner is par for the course during spirited driving, and the ultralight body tracks like it is on rails at any speed. The acceleration is impressive at any level of these cars. While we were on public roads with traffic, it made for keeping the car off the limit. But even driving in traffic offers its own little thrills in the exceptional handling, braking, and overall maneuverability that can best be described as quick. By the time I got out of the 240 horsepower Caterham 480 with my friend, Caterham brand manager Nick Nahir, I was just about ready to place my order. A completed copy will run $74,780, including the rolling chassis, engine installation, and a 6-speed Caterham gearbox. My daughters don't need braces that badly, do they? Between the warmth of the folks at Hillbank, the incredible cars, and the marvelous experience of driving these awesomely fun cars, you can be sure I will be back soon. For Vintage Race Car, Vintage Road Car, and VRTV, this is Tom Staller saying, wherever the road takes you, May your shiny side remain up.